Hi, everybody. Welcome to Alta Call. It's a new episode of Love is Blind, Sweden Season 3, Episode 6 to 8. It is your host, Tane, here solo with this season. And the season continues to be what it is from the last time. So I'm just going to accept that that's what it is. Everybody just seems miserable and they don't seem happy to be here. And we just have to wait and see how this unfolds by the end of the season. Some updates from Love is Blind Italy. If you guys remember, if you watched it, Brian kept saying he was going to try to be on Traders Italy or something like that. Turns out it wasn't that. And thank you to Giovanni, the listener slash Love is Blind Italy consultant, for updating me that Giovanni is now on Celebrity Big Brother Italy. So, I mean, I guess it paid off for him that he gets to be on other shows and be a menace on other shows. And still in Love is Blind Italy, if you remember, Ludovica and Nicola are together. Ludovica was Nicola's other choice, so they were in a triangle together. Ludovica ended up with Davide, and Nicola was with Karen. And they seem to have found their way with each other. And she's very close friends with Giovanni. I mean, we kept wondering how they kept being friends with Giovanni, but I mean, I guess it's different when he's not a character. And the last thing Giovanni told her was, "Don't have a wedding until I'm out of the Big Brother house." So there's that. Um, very, very interesting. Just wanted to update you guys if you guys happen to watch Love is Blind Italy. So back to Love is Blind Sweden, just going to go through the highlights for each couples and the highlights of what happens when the pod squad all meet up. So we have Daniel and Johanna. Remember, Daniel is the one that is 43 years old. Johanna is the one who lives in Australia but is back in Sweden if she found someone that she would want to move for or want to spend the rest of her life for. And by the way it's looking, it is not Daniel. So remember, by the end of the last batch of episodes, she told producers that he told her that he wanted to quit. And she told him that when he went to the bathroom, but he comes back and she just acts like nothing has happened. And he does too, until she brings it up and tells him like he shouldn't easily want to leave. And he's just like, yeah, I don't like it when, we kiss and you were saying, don't steal my lipstick. And it feels like she doesn't want him to kiss her, which is what I was reading. Like these two keep saying with their mouths are moving and saying like, I want to be with you, I want to make this work, but every body language is saying otherwise. But she tries to tell him that it's a joke, like, every time you kiss me my lipstick comes off, so I'm just joking and it's not that serious. But he says it makes him spiral. So I don't know if he's picking up a body language thing. We can't see that. Well, maybe we can through the screen because that's what I'm seeing, but they're saying otherwise. She also brings up that it's difficult to bring up deep questions with him and they're just being surface. And if you remember, this was the same criticism that Ellen had for him. Ellen was his number two, his real number one, for real, for real. But he doesn't know how to go deep. He says that he is interested in everything. And the thing is, like, when he feels like she's not showing any interest, that the walls come up. So he says that, okay, he takes it to heart and he got engaged to her for a reason and he's sorry. And they seem to be fine because I don't know, we switch from him saying that he wanted to go home to them saying, oh, I want to make it work and I'm going to work hard for you for this. He says he doesn't want to look through the rearview mirror. He wants to look through the cracked windshield. And I'm like, okay, enough of the metaphors. Just go work on how to be deep on your emotions. So they have a cocktail hour. They're still in Greece at this point, yes. And all the couples come together for a cocktail hour. And Anila shares that all is well with Ibrahim. She shares that like their little hiccup that they have where Ibrahim is beginning to show doubts, but I'm going to talk about them in a few. They don't show them a lot, compared to everyone else, but that's all she shares with the group and says that everything is fine. They call out Lars Eric. Lars Eric is the one who's a Christian and is with Rania, who is not. And he shares how hot and cold, she is being. And she made a 7 days comment where she's just like, when they go back to Sweden and move into the comment, if she doesn't have feelings for him in 7 days, she's just gonna leave. And he says like it's just a weird comment and he wants to love her the way that he wants to. She shares the same thing when she's with the ladies and saying that something is off. And I'm like, duh, because you guys are incompatible. I don't know why that's so hard to see. Danielle shares about her complaint about his lack of depth. And Ibrahim says, so in all of this, have you asked her what her love language is? And of course, he hasn't. And Aaron is wondering if outside influences would affect how Angelica feels about him. Johanna shares the issues that she's having with Daniel with the ladies, and Rania, of course, is talking about Aaron and how he's so great, of course. Camilla and Ludwig arrive late, and because at that time everyone is like, "Oh, where are they?" Remember the last thing that we saw with them? They were trying to have a conversation, and we couldn't tell had they broken up or had they not. But they come up late. They even show us them in the elevator and things like that. But as soon as he comes, he goes off with his bestie Daniel. Then Ludwig tears up and tells the guys that she doesn't validate him physically and they broke things off. He says that he knows it will come later, but he already knows the kind of girl that he wants and he just wants it to be natural and he doesn't think that it's going to happen with Camilla. Camilla is with the girls and tearing up as well, and she takes Anila aside and tells her how he broke up with her, that he didn't even give them time to try and see if, it was going to work out. The girls are supporting her, letting her know that, he didn't try, he didn't give her space, that he made the complaint and broke it off. And Johanna says, like, listen, even for us, like, we're not being physical. And I was confused. I thought Ludwig meant like PDA, not sex, but these people are very cagey about intimacy. Like, listen, we are on episode 8. I don't know which couples are having sex or not or how far gone. So I guess this season they're choosing not to talk about that. So I'm confused as to what Ludwig meant, whether it was PDA, because all along I just thought it was PDA. So I have no idea. So Camilla says it's funny that she says that because they, being Camilla and Daniel, are the couple that Ludwig brings up the most. I told y'all that he loves him some Daniel. Daniel tells the guys that yeah, they've been having the same conversation that they're having, and Ludwig is like, "What? Really? I don't think he believes it." Johanna tells Camilla that they're solving it by giving it time, and that the ring isn't a leg spreader; it's an engagement ring. That's funny. The guys try to tell him to give it time, and he was like, "No, I don't feel well." This is what the translation says. And I don't want to be in a relationship where I don't feel well. So Daniel says that he's going to the bathroom, but instead he grabs Johanna and tells her how upset he is at everything that's going on with Ludwig and Camilla. I'm like, wow, feeling for your friends, kind of like what was his name? Justin from Maps when he was so upset. Um, he's crying as he, rubs up on her. It's also like he doesn't want them to be that way. He doesn't want them to end up that way, that they have to keep fighting and making this work. Lars Eric tells Ludwig that he's in the same boat, and Ronja listens to Anila talk about all the things that, you know, Ludwig needs to do for Camilla, and I think she's seeing herself in that role as well. And Ludwig seems surprised that more people are going through the same stuff because in his mind everybody's further along, and that's what's really eating him up, is the fact that everyone else is further along. Ibrahim calls out Ronya about the way that she's treating Lars Eric, and she's stuck on, well, I mean, I don't want to lie. I want to be very honest with him. Yes, I said so. If I don't have feelings for him in 7 days, then I will be gone. So Anita tries to give Daniel advice. He's not listening, and he's just like, I'm not a deep person. I'm not going to force myself to think of things that I've been through to talk about. If I don't have them, they're just not there. He says that while she's there, he's just like, okay, I'm going to find out her love language and then I'll figure it out. And they're like, she's right there. Why don't you just ask her what her love language is? You're talking about you're going to find out. And it turns out to be acts of service and quality time. Ronier tells Ludwig that she is the Camilla in their relationship. And he's like, well, she's not even telling me that she likes me. That, and someone else tells the same thing to Camilla. And they were like, just tell him that you like him. You're willing to work on it. and she goes to talk to him. Basically, everyone is in everyone's business. Like you'll see someone take someone out and they'll be like, "Oh, let's go talk." And then someone else will just come in, join the conversation, and everybody's just giving their 2 cents or their 2 krona. What is the currency in Sweden? Whatever it is in there. And then it just becomes like a whole group project. So Camilla tries to tell Ludwig that his idol couple, Daniel and Johanna, haven't done anything either, and that, she still wants to try, and that's how they're working on it. And he's just like, yeah, I don't know if I believe that. And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, I don't think I believe that. Like, I think they're just saying things to make us feel better. So there's no way. They were all lovey dovey. And I'm like, what are you thinking, Ludwig? Like, she's telling you this because Johanna said so. Daniel told you himself, and you're just like, whoa, but you were lovey dovey. That can't be true. And you're choosing to believe what you want. So if you just don't want to be with her, then just say that. So she tries to talk. He keeps cutting her off and saying that she's not taking initiative. And again, he just doesn't want to be with her anymore. She gets frustrated and she just says, let's just agree to disagree. And she walks away. And that was it. And as if it was not enough interaction with this group, they all meet again for breakfast the next day. The host Jessica comes by and lets them know that Ludwig and Camilla left the experiment, and that's it. Rania thanks Lars Eric for being patient when she said that she wanted to leave, that she realizes that that was a strong statement, and she's committed to trying with their relationship. And yeah, so that was the first interaction that they all had. And then everybody, they go back home to Sweden, and they've all moved into their apartments. I think it's the same apartments that they've been using every season. It's pretty nice. They've moved in, and Johanna still looks so miserable as Daniel is regaling her with details for a party while it seems like she's sick. She's drinking tea and honey, and he's going somewhere. I'm not sure where he's going. But when he's telling her about the party, he's just saying, like, oh, this is going to be this is going to be that. And she's like, I'm just trying to feel better. And he's like, well, just drink lots of tea and honey so you can feel better. But he just seems detached. He doesn't seem like he's present in there. So he's headed somewhere. I'm not sure, but maybe for his job. He's a Toastmaster. I'm interpreting it as him being an MC. If someone is familiar with this, let me know if I'm correct in that. So I think he needs to go out of town for a wedding. So when he's gone, he's supposed to be back, I guess, the next day. She still hasn't heard from him, but she calls her mom to tell her that yeah, he hasn't come home, he hasn't said anything. And her mom is like, well, just call him and find out what's going on. And she's like, I guess I have to try that. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? How are you engaged and you don't want to call, and he doesn't want to call to say hey or text or anything? This is just so bizarre. So she does call, but when she calls, he's like, oh, I was just trying to give you space because I didn't want to be in your space to let you think. And she's like, okay, I'll come home. So he comes home. They still look miserable. She says it was hard being alone with her thoughts. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to come back. And then you have these complaints. It makes me insecure that we're just staying at home staring at each other. I this is so painful to watch that I can't imagine that it's not painful to live through. They talk about him not coming home, and he just wouldn't listen. You can't tell that this man is a 42-year-old man because it doesn't feel like he's learned anything. I think he just wants to live life on his terms. And when things don't work out, he's just like, oh, well, I did my best. Because he keeps every now and then berating himself, like, am I such an idiot? Why can't I see these things? That this is so simple. Kind of like when Ibrahim was just like, okay, do you know her love language? It's something so simple, but you haven't done it. You haven't asked, you haven't done the work. You just want everything to be easy, but you're going to have to put in work to do that. She says, I feel like you don't understand me. And he says, I agree. And then he just flips it and is like, I've missed you. I've missed you so much. And he says he's not going anywhere, that they have to, work things out. And they're eating as usual. They eat a lot on this series. Maybe it's always been that way, but this season it's very noticeable. They're just always eating, and he's eating. He's one of those as he's eating, he's like, and she says some things have happened, and she doesn't know if she can trust him, and that's a terrible feeling to sit with. So that's the highlights for them. We are going to talk about it. She eventually shares about what happens with them. So I will take a quick break and I will be right back with the other couples. Over the course of my life, there have been so many women that have had an impact on my life, whether it's my mom, my aunts, my best friend, or mentors in my career. And I'm sure if you think about it, it's the same for you. But that's no surprise because everyone knows that women are the backbone of the home and society in general. But the many roles that women hold comes with its own pressures and mental load that can be isolating, and that's where therapy comes in. Therapy can help create balance, set healthy boundaries, and support overall well-being for everyone. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the US. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 6 million people globally. Your emotional well-being matters. Find support and feel lighter in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com. That's betterhelp.com. Watching our loved ones age is one of life's toughest transitions, and a lot of people are part of the sandwich generation where you have to take care of young kids and aging parents. I've been through it, and I've also seen some of my friends overwhelmed trying to balance kids, career, and home while realizing they can't do it all alone. It's a lot to carry. If you don't know where to start, Care.com is here to help you breathe again. You can browse background checked in home caregivers or explore local senior living communities. At Care.com, you'll find specialized support for everything from meal prep to support for loved ones with dementia, backed by real reviews from families just like yours. And Care.com has safety in hiring tools so you can hire with confidence. Or you can even get a senior care advisor plan and talk to a master's level social worker to build a personalized care plan. I'm partnering with Care.com because it really is an easier way to find help. For a limited time, go to Care.com and use code AltocallMAFS for 20% off your initial Care.com subscription or a senior care advisor plan. That's AltocallMAFS, all one word. With Care.com, start your senior care journey with confidence. Okay, I'm back. Let's go with Lars Eric and Rania. He says that he's good at reading people, but she's not easy to read, and he didn't understand what she said yesterday about where they're headed. If you recall, this is the couple that annoys me so much because it's very obvious that they're not meant to be together and they just keep forcing it. You could say that for every couple, but these people in particular, I don't know what they're doing. He tells her that like he can't read her. He doesn't understand what she said yesterday, and she said, and it seemed like you were upset that if we get to Stockholm and I don't have feelings in a week, then she doesn't want to continue, which is an insane thing to say, by the way. I just want to point that out. Like you're basically giving your fiance an ultimatum. Like I just sometimes don't say everything out. Like just feel it out and just or be nice. Yes, you're being honest, and I know people get obsessed with being honest, but consider the fact that somebody else is absorbing that honesty and they're a human being with emotions. He says that when she says things like that to protect herself, and if she keeps saying things like that, they'll never fall in love, and that it's just added pressure. He doesn't know what to do because he likes her. He doesn't know how he can make her fall in love with her. And now it seems like she's pulling back. She tries to explain how she felt trapped after he mentioned that he needed attention. I don't I don't know what he said was that he needed attention. He said when they were in the beach party with the other couples that it would be nice if she just came by, gave him a kiss here and there and just felt like she wanted to be around him and she just felt like she wanted to be around other people, which again, not an ask. They just met. You are in your quote unquote honeymoon phase. That's not a big ask, to ask of your partner. And he says, like, after that, like, since you pulled back, I don't know how to approach you. Like, can I be near you? Can I not be near you? Do you need space? And she's like, I mean, I'm not going to say, oh, we can kiss today. We can hug today. I was like, well, maybe you should put up a chart because we don't know. And I do think she was kind of rallying him up. And I'm saying rallying because I don't want to use the word gaslight, but he does have a point in what he's saying, and body language is very heavy because that is the vibe that I was getting too. That you just seemed annoyed when you were around. Like honestly, there's a difference between when she was around him and when she was around Aaron. When she was around Aaron, oh my god, she was glowing, for lack of a better word. So She does say that he's talking over her again, which is true. Lars Eric tends to talk over her. And she said, sometimes you sit there smiling and saying, "Oh, you're so cute." And it's like, treat me like the person that I am. And I'm like, huh? Like, it's bad. I mean, remember, she's the one who thinks that he's love bombing her. And so I guess giving compliments is a bad thing. I don't know, guys. I don't know. So he says, I want to see you happy, and your happiness seems to be with hanging with other people. So I'm glad we're having another get together so you can be with people and be happy. I'm like, that is such a strange thing to say. And then they sit in awkward silence. And yes, this couple still annoys me. They move in, they are back in Stockholm and back in Sweden. And then, I don't know, there's been a shift. They are laughing, and she says she's beginning to feel like she has feelings for him. He comes home and she says, I think he went for like something, he went to work, maybe. He didn't even go away for days. He's a coach or something. He comes home and she's like, I missed you. She says all these nice things about him. And I'm like, okay, all is well. What do we know? So then they have friends and family. His sister Victoria comes by, her friends come by, and they ask her if she's in love, but she doesn't really answer. She said the thing is she trusts her gut because her friend is like, your gut instinct is usually right, and she said she doesn't know what her gut is saying. And her friend is like, well, your gut should not be saying anything, like you will even override anything if you're thinking it, like your feelings should take over and you would even have time to check your gut. She says she feels strongly for him, but what happens? And she knows they're gonna make it to the altar. But what happens if she says no? And I'm like, why are you worrying about what happens if you say no? Because your no means you're not getting married. That's what happens. I what? So he tells his sister that he feels questioned by her friends because they had a conversation about religion, which is their bone of contention, which is the thing that annoys me. This thing is so important to you. Rania, that you rolled your eyes when he said no sex, and that you have no problem with not having sex right now. Well, we don't know what is happening, but I'm assuming because he did say that he was celibate, and we know that you're okay that the fact that you're not having sex because you don't like him like that, so you can go along with it. So they were talking about the faith thing and how they're going to come to a compromise, and he's like, there's a lot of questions, and he just feels like the questions are challenging his character. And his sister was like, yeah, it doesn't feel right. I think at some point in the conversation she was like, I just wouldn't date someone who doesn't share the same faith as me. That's just what I would do. And he says like he doesn't want to feel like when she says things like, maybe you were in my life to realize that not all men are bad. And then I learned a lesson. He's like, I'm not a lesson to be learned. So I don't know. Lars is just not realizing that his Christianity is a quote unquote a problem. And, that she says that he's too extreme and he doesn't think that he's that extreme. He just thinks that she wants a way out. Um, I don't feel bad for him because she was very clear about where she stood, and you wanted to hide behind God teaching you a lesson and whatever else he was saying. And now it's your problem to deal with it. So good luck. Ibrahim and Anila. They are excited about moving in together. He says they go on a date, and he says it's impossible to know their thoughts and opinions in the pods because it's very different from when they come out. And I'm like, huh? All you do is talk in the pods. That's all you have to concentrate about. Like, what is it? And I think that is the running theme of Love is Blind in general, how things are so great in the pods and then immediately they come out, it's like it's not the same at all. So maybe the show should not be is love blind, or the question should not be is love blind, is is love blind outside the pods. Put the outside the pods in parentheses because it's a problem with these people who come out the pods and all of a sudden that cocoon is that safety net gone, creates a whole bunch of problems. So I wonder if the show would be different if they are still in the pods but they get to do everyday life. Well, I guess it is diluted. Then it doesn't count. But it's just the stark difference between the pods and outside is so stark that it's even because they find it so jarring, I'm finding it so jarring. Like it's like, what is the point of the pods if it doesn't translate and it doesn't give you some kind of foundation? Not to say it doesn't work, but this Swedish season 3, is so extreme in the way that everyone is so unhappy that it's just like a gloom and doom. It's not like there's no romance or lovey-dovey here. Even when they're lovey-dovey, I don't know that it's genuine because someone's always complaining about something and it just feels like all the time they spent in the pod was for nothing, you know? So, he says that he's questioning their dynamics and she asks if he thinks that she's too outspoken. And if he thinks that, then he should speak up. I'm like, great answer. Great answer. Do not dim your light for anyone else. He says that he felt more seen and heard in the pods, and he's sure that she feels the same way. And she's like, I don't. Like, I feel the same way I felt in the pods. I felt safe there. I feel safe now with you. And he says that, he has a tendency, she tells him that he has a tendency to be in his thoughts. Like, even now that they're talking, that he keeps looking around and maybe him not focusing is what's making him feel less seen and less heard. I'm like, come on, Anila. That's great because I don't I said it last batch of episodes. I think Ibrahim is insecure. Like right from the very beginning, he's just insecure and he's not um sure about his thoughts and his feelings, and instead of just dealing with it and admitting that it's a him problem, he's trying to project it on her, but she has more confidence and is sure in where she stands and what she feels. So he's not shaking her, and somehow I think that affects him. Like, why is she not shaken? And I'm just like in shambles about this whole thing. Then he's just throwing out anything. I don't feel seen. I don't feel heard. And I don't know our thoughts and opinions in the pods and our dynamics. And you're outspoken. And then he's like, I just wonder if you know who I am. And then he confesses that, things are starting. This isn't a confessional, that things are starting to get serious. So he doesn't know. Like he's beginning to get scared. So she says like he asks her if she has any concerns and she's like, I mean, of course I do, but it's not like I still know what I feel about you. But because she says that, she does have some doubts every now and then, Ibrahim the insecure feels better because now he's like, okay, I feel better that you have doubts. And I'm like, so you only, this is crazy, you only feel better when she's feeling down but not when she's really confident about you guys. So in the pods they had discussed about moving. He said it was fine, he was gonna move, it's okay. Now he tells her like, oh yeah, like, I told my coworker that I was going to move, and I was just saying how hard it's going to be for me to leave my job, and yet again it feels like this decision has been made so quickly, and I don't understand. Was there not a thought before joining the show? If you know you could move, why didn't you open your mouth and say, hey, I'm not going to be able to move, so then she can weigh out her options and who she's going to pick? You wanted her to pick you, and now she's picked you, and now you want to go back on what you said. He takes her to his home, but his home is a mess because did he not expect to go home with someone? And he actually makes her wait at the door while he does like a rush tidying up and just gathers a whole bunch of stuff, pushes it, behind a closet and does things here and there. And I'm like, good grief. But it was awkward. But he says in a confessional that he did say he would move to Stockholm, but they aren't married and he has not found a job and he doesn't know. And I don't the thing about Ibrahim is like he looks sketchy all the time. You know how she mentioned that he's always looking around? He's always looking around. She's not lying. He just always looks like either he's in distress or he's looking around like, oh, he's going to be caught, like looking over his shoulder. And it just never feels like he's there. And then even when he's there, he looks like he just needs her to hold him and say, like, oh, you're never going to go. Like he's just always full of insecurity and doubts. So I don't know. I don't know if these two are going to make it, but we'll see. I'll take a quick break and I will be right back. People sometimes talk about GLP-1s as a way to cheat weight loss, but what they don't talk about is how they're a powerful healthcare tool that's now becoming more accessible than ever with the new FDA-approved GLP-1 pill now offered at Ro. Starting a GLP-1 journey with a Ro Body membership comes with great benefits, such as 100% online care, access to clinically proven, FDA-approved medications, free insurance check, side effect management, dosing support, and more. With all these benefits, this is what I would use if I ever considered a GLP-1 journey. In addition to the newly approved pill, Ro also offers a full suite of the most effective brand name FDA-approved GLP-1s, all at the lowest cost. Go to ro.co/alter to see if you're eligible for the new GLP-1 pill on Ro. That's ro.co/altar to get started on Ro. Go to ro.co/safety. That's ro.co/safety for box warning and full safety information about GLP-1 medication. All right, Aaron and Angelica. So last week, Lars Eric and Rania were the couple that really, really annoyed me. This week, it is Aaron and Angelica, 100% because of Angelica. They showed them a lot on this episode. And, they're sitting together. He asks her if anything has been on her mind. And she says that she's been panicking, thinking about home, thinking about what will people think. And I wish they told us more on what she means. What will people think about what? Aaron being too tall, you being on the show, you being engaged, you getting married. What is the part that you're really concerned about? She says she's worried about it because she cares about what people think. And he says that what people think is not going to affect his decisions, that he's doing what is best for him. And she says, like, oh, they're not going to get it. And I'm like, this is so annoying. This is what I mean by this cast not knowing what show they have come on. And now this really convinces me that everybody on this franchise is just aiming to go on a free trip because it's just like there's something that just clicks. I'm not saying that it's not realistic, like it's not understandable that once the honeymoon is over, you're like, oh my God, what have I done? We have to face real life. But you knew that. So what do you mean what people would think? Like you knew you were signing up for a show. You knew there was a chance you were going to get engaged while you were in the experiment, while you were getting proposed to. You could say no. Look at Ellen. She said no. But you said yes. And then now you're just like, people are not going to get it. If you cared about what people think, don't come on this show. It's not that hard, you know? So, um, there's a weird transition to them getting their phone back. We don't really see anything. We just see that they'll have their phones back. And then Erin asks, she starts crying. All of a sudden she's crying and she's like crying because she's seeing all the names. And then Erin asks how he can help her, but she says that she's scared and she wants to call her parents, but she wants to talk to them by herself. He consoles her. He tells her, like, if you ever need anything, you can just come to me. You don't need to even say words. Just sit there. And even if you can't talk, and I'll just hold you, and that's okay. And I'm so annoyed at this point because why are you here? Like, if you really, really care this much about people's thoughts, I just don't think that this is the show for you. And he's being understanding. And nothing about this is gonna help your partner's confidence because it just feels like you are embarrassed. Like he's embarrassing you, and so you're not proud to show them off. And again, I wish we had more clarity. Like, are you embarrassed by him, or are you embarrassed like you are on the show? I'm not quite sure how much of your parent, how much do they know about you coming on this show. And that's the other thing, there's not a lot of, like, we see some family and friends, but it's not the same like where we saw the mother, the father. I don't even think we see any parents. And the next batch is going to be, I believe, the weddings. I could be wrong, but yeah, we haven't seen any parents yet. So then she talks about she's planning her workout sessions with Johanna and Rania, that they have classes that they have to do. And I think it annoys him, but he doesn't say anything. And then when she asks, like, are you worried? She asks him this a lot. Are you worried? Like, do you want him to be worried? And he says, like, it depends on how much you plan things with other people versus me and you. She starts nitpicking at him and then she'll laugh about it, but he's calm. But I am enraged at this point. Like, he was cutting cucumbers and she's just like, why are you cutting it that way? Why are you doing this? Like, she'll just do something. It's like when someone says something mean and then they add a LOL at the end. That's what she was doing. She would just do something and then laugh. And he's like, okay. I think at some point he just left it and just kind of walked away. And then she says, like, you're so calm. Like, I'm not even used to it. Like, you just seem to be too calm. And he's like, you want me to yell at you? And then she goes, no, I'm not saying that. He's like, I'm not always calm. then that at some point it will come out, but I'm okay for now. And then she goes like, well, when is it going to come out? How long do I have to wait? And I'm like, oh my God. It's so sad that women are so damaged that when you get an even keel person, you just assume that something is wrong. And I kind of feel bad for Aaron at this point. They talk about plans for the next day since they just moved into the apartment. She says, oh, I told you I have a workout class. And he goes, okay, afterwards. And then she goes, oh, yeah, I'm seeing a friend afterwards. And then she's like, you can tag along if you want. And he's like, I don't like this. Like, I don't want to tag along. And then she plays dumb when he says, I don't like it. And she's like, what? You don't like that I'm planning things? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying. But he does speak up and he's like, listen, I've been there before where I didn't say anything and I was taken for granted and I'm not going to do it again. And I'm just saying that. So they're eating. And then she's like, well, I'm glad that you spoke up for yourself. And he's like, was it a test? Because I don't appreciate that. Like I've told you that don't test me. Don't think that I'm a pushover because I'm not. I like you. So I listen to you. But when it gets too much, I'm not going to be the same. Like, don't test me. And then again, she's laughing. Um, I guess it's Mexican food night because they're also eating a burrito, which Johanna and Daniel were eating as well. So her friends are coming over to see them, and she's very, very nervous. And as usual, she's like, are you worried? And he's like, no, I am not worried. Her best friend Julia and Samir, it was not clear to me if Julia and Samir are a couple or if they're just her friends, but they come by. Julia in the past has hated the people that she's dated, but when they meet, Aaron is like, oh, I've heard so much about you. And Julia says like, oh, that's great because I haven't heard anything about you, which is strange for someone who is so concerned about what people think and wants the approval of her best friend. She has not told her about anything. So I don't know. So they have conversations. They are just joking around. Angelica goes to talk to Julia, and Julia says, so how has it been? What's going on? What are your concerns? Angelica says things something like he's very slow. And Julia is worried about, oh, is it going to be as wild and crazy as we are? And I'm like, priorities. Like, I don't think Angelica is ready for marriage. I actually huge reach or leap here. I actually think that she might be here for the clout. To be honest with you, she just happened to be with a man who is attractive and is hot and is like, oh, how can I pass this up? But I don't know that she's ready for marriage, which is funny because they are one of the front runners to actually get married. But we'll see. So she actually tells Julia that when he walked out, she was like, like he's not her type. And Julia is actually the one who says, like, he's gorgeous and you are going to have competition. And I do feel that he's a good guy and you are the queen on his throne. And, when they come out, Samir says it's up to you if it works and you shouldn't overthink it and just go for it. And, Angelica is still talking to Julia and says, like, you should see him in the gym, that when you see him, he's a dream. And honestly, there's really nothing wrong with him. I'm the problem. Julia's like, oh, when you see him in the gym, do you want to have sex with him? Are you turned on? And she's like, yes. And I just think that Angelica likes the aesthetics of Aaron, and again, not ready. She's just shallow. Like she likes the fact that presumably she has the hottest man in the experiment, and when she walks, down the street, like people are going to be looking at them. But everything else that comes with um a marriage, I don't know that she's ready, and I don't know if she likes him because she makes a comment about that slow thing a lot. And let's not forget what he said in the pause, that he's looking for someone to grow with. She's looking for what I think is self-made man. So we'll see how this works. Again, I always tell you guys, I cannot predict Love is Blind. Love is Blind is the one where you think you have no idea, and then they're the ones who's probably going to last forever. But based on these are my observations. They're doing cake tasting for the wedding, and they have different flavors in front of them. She says she likes the chocolate, but she's like, oh, but let's not do it because a lot of people are not going to like it. And then she's like, oh, my dad doesn't like it. She named somebody else that doesn't like it. And Aaron is like, this is the one that you like, and you're removing it because other people won't like it. It's about us. That doesn't make any sense. Like, stop doing things for other people and do things for yourself, which I think is going to be a problem. Um, the funny part is one of the flavors was red velvet, and she asked like, "What kind of flavor is red velvet?" And he's like, it's some American nonsense that they have as a flavor. We're catching strays for no reason. But it's so funny when you're reminded, like, red velvet is a staple flavor for us, but it's another country and another culture. And over there, it is American nonsense. But the gag is that is what they end up choosing. I mean, red velvet kind of is technically chocolate, but they end up choosing that. And you can see the relief in her face. She's like, oh, you like it? And I like it, because she definitely does not want to choose the chocolate. And she's like, let's just go with that. So they're going for a walk, and he, after eating the cake, he's like, "Oh, I'm full. I don't want to go anywhere." And she's like, "Get up." He's like, "Oh, I'm going like this. I don't need to get ready." She's like, "Change your clothes." They change their clothes. They're going out. They're walking, and then she's just again nitpicking. She asks, like, "Is it hard to go out because people are looking at us?" And he's like, "Don't care." How does she live her life? It's one thing to care about what people think, but the way Angelica's level is, it's a lot. It really is a lot. And again, it's unclear whether she feels like people are staring at them because he's so famous, or the cameras are with them, so people are looking at the cameras, or he's so tall. What is the thing about it being hard to go out because people are staring at them? But again, I'm so confused as to why she cares about everything. Then she switches to, like, you're diminishing my feelings. And he's like, I don't know what you want from me. You asked me, do I care? And I'm like, I don't care. And you're saying that I'm diminishing your feelings. And he's like, you're not telling me what it is that you want me to comment on or to care about. And she's like, and she really isn't saying what the issue is, but she's so annoyed, and she's like, give me the keys, give me the my phone, and I'm going home. And she literally just walks away and leaves him there on the trail. And even I'm confused. I don't know what the issue is. So the next day, she's like, so what happened after I left you? Like, nothing happened, because they all know how to pivot so quickly before I know how to gather my feelings together. She says it was just a lot for her. And she was like, is this how our marriage is going to be? And he says, like, it worried me that you could lose your feelings so fast. And like, one minute you're in love, and the next minute, I don't care about you because of just one reason or the other. And she claims that she doesn't do that all the time. I'm like, okay. Again, I think she's immature. So he says, like, he understands, but even with this, again, Aaron is always very understanding. He says he understands, and he just wishes that she would communicate. And you just know that deep inside, she's like, stop being so good to me. I want something bad, so I have an excuse to just walk away and feel good about that. So that was their highlights, and the rest of it is they're hanging out yet again, because they have an outdoor engagement party. So they're all together again, guys this way, girls that way. Angelica says that she's in love, but I guess she can say that now because she got approval from her friends. And if they didn't approve, she'd probably been like, "Oh, I don't know how I feel," but they've given her permission to feel, so therefore she's allegedly in love. Daniel says, like, they're having all these disagreements, that he's never ever raises his voice at Johanna, but she considers them fights. But he needs her to be lighthearted, and it's just everything is so serious. And this guy is a fool, because one of the fights that they had was she offered him a night of no stress. That was the when he didn't come back, or yeah, or maybe he went out. And she said, "Come home, and tonight we're not going to talk about anything heavy. We're just going to relax and just enjoy each other's company." And he was just like, "Well, I have a lot on my mind. I have to get this out. It has to come out tonight." She's like, "Yes, if you need to, then you can." But she did offer him a night of no stress, and he said he had to get it off his chest. And now he's complaining that he needs lightheartedness from her. Which is it, Daniel? Ugh. So other people who have left start coming by. Camilla comes by, and she tells them that she and Ludwig have been talking, but I am unclear if it's done or not. They didn't come together, and she's all like, "Oh, let's talk about you guys. Don't talk about me." And then he walks in. And he walks in by himself, so I'm guessing they're not together. But then he walks straight to the true love of his life, who is Daniel, who immediately asks him, like, "So do you have feelings for Camilla?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know. We've just been talking. She is easygoing. That's one of the things. She's very, very easygoing." And Daniel is like, "Man, that's what I'm looking for." And then Ludwig is like, he doesn't know if he should see Hannah, like if he's gonna have anything or any feelings going on with Hannah. Camilla tells the girls that she and Ludwig have been talking a lot, and he feels like the pods. And it's just like, it looks like the pods feel good because you're not seeing each other and you don't have to do any action. It's just a lot of talking. And we all know that action speaks louder than words. So you've done it before. I don't know what they're doing. You've done it before where it was great in the pods, it was bad outside. So why are we talking again on the phone and not interacting outside? What is the point when you know that when we're in person, it doesn't work? They're talking about has it felt good being with your person? Have you never felt no before? And Angelica is like, no, I felt no twice. When he walked slow, ha 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 ha. She's laughing, but I don't think she's joking. Honestly, that walking slow things and him moving slow really, really annoys her. But she realizes that it's such a minute thing that she has to make a joke out of it. Fabian and his resting terrified face comes in. He talks to the guys, tells them how she said no, and then of course naturally Ellen comes in, and he's so scared that he says, "I don't even want to look." If you remember, Ellen is Daniel, the 42-year-old's real first choice, even though he said, "Oh, I'm just gonna go with Johanna," but he knew that Ellen was about to break up with him, and he didn't want to be the one left behind, and he wanted to make it to the trip. Daniel is surprised that Ellen is just as beautiful outside as she is inside and wonders what would have happened if they were together. Also, Ellen did not walk in like somebody who dumped someone at the reveal. She was just, hey, hi. So Hannah comes by also. She and Ludwig are chatting. He tells her like it would be good to get to know her better. She says the same, that it would be good to get to know him better. Not a thought about being second choice. Not a thing for her. Just great. Ellen comes by to chat with Fabian, and they're having a conversation, and she's saying, "Oh, I don't want it to seem like I tricked you." But he was like, I had hope that we would see after the experiment. And she basically rounds things up. She's a politician. She's very good at this talking thing. And she's like, things don't always work out the way that we want it to. We don't have to beat ourselves about it. And I'm like, Ellen, you were the breakuper. You're the one who broke it off. You don't get to say that. You don't feel anything. You did what was right for you. So you don't get to tell him that. Meanwhile, Fabian is so torn up. He's like, "Oh, I respect you. I hope you're doing well." And, that's it. She speaks with Daniel, and Daniel is yapping away as usual about, it's important to know, how we made our decisions, how we got here. And Ellen is like, before I answer, you're engaged, right? How are things going now? And he's like, "Oh yeah, we're good. We have our problems." And then he starts yapping away about their problems. And Ellen, the politician, is just like, "Well, I'm glad you're doing well. Glad to see you. Glad I got to talk to you. I'll be on my way now." And then she's gone. So, the guys have told Fabian that it is kind of weird that says, like, "Oh, she's not ready to date anyone. She's not seeing anyone." But honestly, all of it was a nothing burger. Nothing happened. The Swedes don't have drama. They all talk with their exes, and there was no biggie with anyone in that regard. Hannah comes by. No, Hannah already chatted with them. So Johanna shares with Rania that she had an argument with Daniel about him, and she tells him how him not showing interest in the people she loves and the things she loves is a big deal to her. And he was very dismissive, and he usually makes her feel silly, like she's just nagging. She says it was 2 a.m. and she just told him, like, "I don't want to do this before bed." But he just kept pushing and telling her, like, "Yeah, for an hour, like, just say what you have to say." And then she made a comment that says, "The way you are pushing could be compared to a rapist who keeps pushing when the woman says no." Oh my god. Ma- I gasped. I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa." As if that wasn't bad enough, then she realizes that he recorded everything on his phone. And then he was like, "Gotcha." I was like, "Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god." Just quit, guys. Just quit. It's okay. If you are at the point where you are making comparisons to your fiance's style of communication to being like a rapist, and you are on the other end recording your fiance talking, quit. Call timeout. Just time of death. Just end it. Just end everything. She says the next morning he tells her, "Don't use the word gaslighting." She had told him that he was gaslighting her, and he tells her, "Don't tell anyone about this. I just want to move on, and we're all good." She says that all this are triggers for her and she doesn't think she can get over it. Just to paint a picture, every time you see Johanna, she looks upset. Like, there's no time you see Johanna and she looks like she is happy. Like, everything looks like a chore and it's just unpleasant to watch. Um Rania just gets up, goes straight to Daniel, and asks, "Why did you record her?" She's having a conversation with him, and I think Angelica just comes and plops herself beside them and joins the conversation. And he goes, "Yes, I did. That she said that she would record," and he was like, "Okay, I will too." I will too, but she didn't follow through, to be fair, but I did. Like, I think it was a great idea. And then they tell him that, you say that you've been crying, you want this to work out, but they don't get that picture at all. And I'm like, me too, sister. Like, I've been watching this man is always telling us that he's crying about them and he wants them to work, but it just looks like they both are just struggling through this. And then from nowhere, the stunning Danette comes in. Danette was the lone black girl on the season, and she came in a red dress. And Lars Eric is like, "Wow, in a red dress." She says hi to one girl and immediately goes to talk to Lars Eric. And then he's like, "Oh, don't you want to say hi to everyone?" She goes, "No." And they go talk. He shares that a lot of the issues he and Rania are facing right now is their faith. And it kind of feels like an attack on his character of him trying to, like, she asks a lot of, why do you believe that? Why do you believe this? And, she just feels like it's an attack on his character. And I think I have a better understanding because part of what annoyed me was him saying that he didn't know if it was a test from God. Like, maybe, and now I understood it to mean that he feels like God would test him to be with someone who's a non-Christian so he can stand up for his faith. So when she asks all these questions, he won't be like swayed. He still believes whatever it is that he believes. I don't know. This is what I think I understood. And she tries something like, I knew like I wouldn't have had this issue with you because we believe in the same thing. We would have prayed together, would have laughed together. So all this would have been great. So nothing disrespectful. They just had that conversation. I think the main thing is like I don't think Lars Eric is attracted to Danette. So even though they share the same faith, he didn't want to do the single voter or single issue connection. Like they would have had a commonality in faith, but nothing else would have been there. So I don't know. It's a matter of him picking his poison. He's attracted to her. I don't think Rania likes him, and they don't even share the same faith. And he claims that his faith is important to him. I mean, there was an option of not matching with anyone, but like I said, they're all vying for this trip. I've convinced. So Rania decides that she's going to play therapist between Johanna and Daniel, but she gets it wrong because even as they sit down, they're talking about the recording thing. She says, like, what I said to you guys earlier is that he said that she said she was going to record so they could hear themselves and hear how they fight. But Rania is like, that's not what you said. That, you said that she said she was going to that she started recording first. And basically, she got it wrong completely. So Johanna is like, yes, I said it as a suggestion, but I did not say I was going to go ahead and record. But also, if you were going to record, you're going to ask me first before you do that. So Rania tries to tell him that, due to they're similar in the fact that they need a safe space because of their past, and he says that you knew I wanted this bad. I asked you for a kiss. And I'm like, yeah, you always ask for a kiss. He was like, I couldn't sleep. And she's like, yeah, because you were worried about me spilling about what happened today. That's what you were nervous about and how you looked. And then he says all these nice things like, I just want to fight for you. I just want this to work. This is why I'm here. I wouldn't be here if I didn't want things to work. And all of a sudden, these two women, Ronnie and Angelica, are like, oh, now we believe him that, in the past we said we couldn't see him fighting for this, but listening to him now and seeing you guys in person, I believe that he really wants it and maybe there's a chance and like you guys can make it work. He's not like your other relationships. You don't need to bring your past relationships into this. And I felt so bad for Johanna because I feel like she was cornered. She was just backed into a corner by these two people believing his manipulation because she doesn't even say anything. She just kind of laughs and goes for her drink because it's like, what the fuck? I've been telling you guys everything all along. He says one or two words, he sniffles and cries a little, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I believe that there's a chance now. Ugh. Ugh. Anyways, I mean, she should quit, but that's a whole other thing. So we go back and they're in their apartment. Daniel is on the phone with his AirPods on. He's on the balcony and he's telling someone, we don't know who he's talking to, that, it was an emotional day. They had participants who didn't get engaged come over to a party and they were there to just mess things up. And that Johanna is out now. She went to go buy kebabs for them. She comes back. She's like, hello. But I guess he didn't hear it. So he just keeps talking because Daniel is a yapper. And then he keeps going and he's saying that, Johanna is again, this is a translation. Johanna is a tough bastard and she's trickier than the others when it comes to emotions, and that, the thoughts are horrible, and that he would rather do military service. And that was really hard. And he would rather do that than to be here with her. And that was fucking tough. And then he comes to show whoever the apartment, like, oh, do you want to see the view? Do you want to see what it is? Because he was on FaceTime. So he goes into the apartment, he comes in and he's like, oh, this is it. And then he turns around and she's there. And he's like, hi. And he's like, oh, hi. Then he says bye to whoever comes back. And it was like, oh, I didn't know you were there. And then she smiles. He was like, oh, these are some decent kebabs. And then she just says, you would rather do military service than be with me, huh? And then he just looks at her as the music is playing, and the music lyrics say dead man walking. And that was it. That was it for the batch. So I don't know. This season is, like I said, a lot of people who are unhappy, and it's not like the most pleasant. And it doesn't feel like there are people who actually like each other, but it is a lot of drama. So I think what I'm looking forward to is the reunion. We should be having the wedding soon. The previews for the weddings, I think we only see Johanna on there. We see no. There's no Johanna on there. I There's Rania, I think, Angelica, and then Anila. So I'm not sure that Johanna is gonna make it to the wedding. Like after this, I believe they probably have to quit, and that will be it. So we'll see what happens. I'm just curious to the reunion because the hostess is very good at asking all of the questions, and so we'll see what happens. So if you're watching, let me know. I know Love is Blind Sweden isn't for everyone. Some people don't like watching the international versions, but let me know if you have any comments and what your thoughts are on there. You can find me on the socials, also called MAFS, Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter. And please give me a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and stay subscribed so you don't miss out on any new episodes. Until next time, guys. Bye.